Alongside the release of Huawei's P50 Pro, we have their clamshell foldable phone. So this one, when you open it up, has a 6.9-inch screen. It's OLED, 120 Hertz, displays over 1 billion colors. It's a stunning display. And when you fold it up, it's just then 15 millimeters, just over the thickness of this phone, in a very small, compact clamshell design. Very easy to put into a pocket, for example. So on the back of it, where the camera module is, just below it, we have a 1.04-inch OLED screen for displaying the time, notifications, and you can use it to control the main rear camera for selfies, for video, and swapping over the cameras. It does have a 4,000 mAh battery in it. It is running EMUI 12, based off Android 11, and the charger is 40 watts, Huawei's Supercharge. This is the most expensive one that was sent out to me, the premium edition of the P50 Pocket. So co-designed with Iris van Herpen, and it's got her design on the back of it. You'll see soon when I show you the phone. So with this one, inside the box here, you'll find we've got our charger. There's a SIM tray tool. This side, there's actually nothing. And this one, when you pull it out, you'll see here that you'll find our USB cable, which is Type C to Type A. And our charger. Now this charger is 40 watts. It's Huawei's Supercharge, and it does take approximately 1 hour to fully charge the P50 Pocket. And here is Iris van Herpen's design on the back. So this is 3D sculpted into it, into the material. Feels really good, looks great, and as mentioned, it's the premium model, so they've gone all out with this one, getting a designer involved with it. So instead of having the cameras that you see like the P50 Pro, with the Pocket, we have this 1.04-inch OLED screen. Now, the resolution of this is 340 by 340. It's got 324 ppi, so it does look sharp. You can see notifications. Oh, but it wants me to unlock it. Once unlocked, you can see notifications coming through there, your time, other things. You can even activate the camera, and you can swap between the cameras. So I can do that now, and you can use it to take photos right here from the main lens or the ultra wide, and even record video, which is quite handy there. And you don't need to open the phone up to do that. And it's great that we're able to then utilize those main cameras, which are a lot better than the one that's inside it. So when you unfold it, the folding mechanism feels really nice. Okay, I think this feels a little bit better than even what we've seen with Samsung's Flip series. I haven't reviewed them in the channel, but I have handled them myself, and it's very nice here. It does not feel loose. It doesn't rattle around or anything like that. So the inner camera here, that one is a 10 megapixel camera. It's actually 10.7 here, so that's why you can use the outer ones there to get even better selfies and your vlog footage if you wanted to do so. The screen now, you'll notice that, of course, it's foldable tech here. Very nice, clear screen. Looks really good here. And I do like the resolution of it. So it's a 21 by 9 aspect ratio we get with it. 1188 by then 2790. So a little bit extra long here. And again, I'll just do a very quick comparison to that of the P50 Pro. You'll see that this one, how it's a little bit shorter. Those are the differences there. So we've gained a little bit more screen real estate at the top there with it. Now, when you touch it, just around here, there is a fine little lip just around the top, around the outer edges there, but it doesn't have like a screen protector over the top of it, a separate one. You never pull those off anyway, you're just supposed to leave them. So when you fold it up, you can see our Type-C port down the bottom here that does support video out, antenna lines, 2 downwards firing loudspeakers. The frame around the outside is rounded, whereas with the P50 Pro, you see it is squared off there and there's no IR transmitter, but we do get a secondary mic there at the top. Now, thickness of it, when it's folded, it's 15.2 millimeters, which is not bad at all. It weighs 190 grams. When you open it up, the thickness then is quite a slim 7.2 millimeters, which is very good. So we do have our SIM tray here on the side, and that does take 2 nano SIMs. Then on the right, our always-on capacitive fingerprint reader. So this works really well. It's very quick. You just touch it, it unlocks. I'll do that again. It's not the fastest I have seen, but overall, not bad. The main thing is it's very accurate, which is what you want with this, and I haven't had any issues with it. So more antenna lines there, and then a volume up and down button, which is made out of metal. So excellent build quality. The hinge there at the back of it, you can see the Huawei logo. And again, just have to comment on just the engineering in this, that it feels very solid and it doesn't feel like it's going to break at all. You can even try and push it a little bit the other way, which you shouldn't do. I won't force it very hard, but it does not feel fragile. Has an excellent, strong design, and I like the noise it makes too when you close it. And with our cameras with the P50 Pocket, we've got a 40 megapixel camera that is f1.8, 13 megapixel ultra wide f2.2, and then another 32 megapixel camera f1.8. This right here is our flash, and it does also have laser assist focus. And looking at that display again, it's very clear. It seems because of the material they've used over the top of it, it's even clearer, I've noticed, with the foldables than what you get with your normal phones, which have, of course, protective glass over the top. So it's more susceptible to damage, of course. You've got to be very careful that nothing drops on top of these screens, but it does look great. And you're probably thinking, well, what about that crease in the middle? When you press your finger down over it when you're using it, you do feel a slight little ridge there, but it's not as bad as what I had and experienced with, for example, the Samsung Galaxy Fold 2 and the Fold 3. This one, you do see the crease. I'll try and get it in certain light there. You can see it, okay? You can see that it does dip down a little bit. But normally when you're looking on it, like now, looking at it straight on, you're not really going to see or notice that. And you do see that when you fold it in, it sucks in a little bit there, bends a tiny bit, and the whole time it's not going to be, of course, folded right in half. It's still retaining that angle where it's perfect, where it's not going to be damaging the OLED pixels with it. It is then a vibrant screen and a very clear screen, but not only that, it's a flicker-free screen, which is really what I want to see with these displays, especially OLEDs or AMOLEDs. So it's 120 Hertz, and it doesn't flicker at all. You don't see any banding, not even on camera, where it can sometimes typically show up with the different shutter rates that I use on my camera. So under our display settings, we do have your typical options you will see with Android 11. You've got your scaling, your font size, eye comfort mode, dark mode is there too. Automatic brightness, of course, it's got an ambient light sensor built into it. Smart resolution, now I turned that off. I like to have my screens looking as sharp as possible. You can override the refresh rate. So I keep it on high 120 Hertz. You can use dynamic, which is going to scale it automatically. So it goes anywhere from 60 to 90 to 120. But I've forced the whole time 120. And if you're really low on battery and you want to save a bit, then you can put it onto 60 Hertz if you want. So under color modes and temperatures, you can adjust all of this. I've kept it on normal, so it's got P3 coverage, which is very good with it. And it's just the fact that there's no banding, no flickering at all. It's an extremely pleasant screen to look at. What about the performance in daylight? So it's bright enough that, yes, you can send and reply to WhatsApp messages, texts, and things on it. Just over about 720 nits is what I'm measuring with this display. Like the P50 Pro, the P50 Pocket here does run EMUI 12. It's based off Android 11, and we do have the Snapdragon 888, which is last gen. So it's the last version of Android. The newest is Android 12, of course, which a lot of other manufacturers have, but we don't have yet with Huawei. That will probably be coming with EMUI 13, I would say. So our control center, that all comes in fast, notifications. Really, the gesture support on this has been great. No animation glitches or lag or slowdown at all. All of the apps that I've been running installed fine. Now, the topic of the apps I know is a very touchy one with this particular model here, well, with Huawei's phones, but it's getting so much better. I've talked about this in my other previous Huawei videos, that Appgallery, for example, I've already done the search here. If you wanted WhatsApp Messenger, you'll find that it's not actually yet in the Appgallery store, but it will give you a link. It will give you the alternative, the official website where you can download the APK file. So most of those apps out there that you would want, it will then source that for it. So you decided that, okay, I want to play PUBG, want to install that. You'll bring it up, and that is not going to be able to find it here. But it's given me, you can see alternatives. Now, there's a lot on there. Now, at PUBG, you can actually go on to Pedal Search to find the app. If you look for it, you can go in here. Oh, that's Pedal Maps, sorry. You go into Pedal Search, and you just type in here PUBG, okay? And you'll see that it will come up. You can go to the Apps tab, and it will look for it. There you go, official website, and you can go ahead and install it. So most of the games now don't require, as a requirement there, Google Play Games or Google Services. So you can get a lot of those games there. And most of the apps, the general apps that I will be running, I've got the alternative apps for them anyway here. So you can view YouTube through the browser, Gmail, this is actually just a shortcut here. I can go and check it. That's just using the web app. And you've got Pedal Maps, which is a Google Maps, alternative there from them. And so most of those apps that you want will be there, except the banking apps. That's where we come into a bit of an issue here, that most of them won't actually be supported. Now, performance-wise, charge time here with it, let's take a look. So it does ignore that. It's actually a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. It takes 59 minutes to go from 11 to 100%. So the charge time is not that bad. I think it's pretty good there. Our battery life, so not quite as good as the P50 Pro. It does have a smaller battery. This was run with the highest resolution, not the smart resolution, and forced to 120 Hertz. So I got 7 hours of runtime here with PC Mark 200 nits of brightness. The problem is it's only about 5.5, 6 hours really of true on-screen time with your general use there. So if you're someone that's using your phone all day, you might have to top up near the end of the day with the battery life on this one. So that's one thing to be aware of. So you do get quite a bit of this when you first load the phone, boot the phone up. You're going to be greeted with all these not pre-installed apps, but suggested apps. There's in fact about 4 or 5 folders that already have these placeholders for games or other apps to install. That's really annoying, especially when you consider the price of this phone being the premium model. Why on earth are Huawei doing this? This I don't think should be happening. They need to tone down a bit on this pre-installed bloatware. It's just not good. Now, performance-wise, for a Snapdragon 888 in Antutu, it should be able to get 700,000 points, if not over that. The highest I've seen is around 800,000 points. So clearly to me, Huawei have toned it down a little bit. And what I mean by toning it down, throttled it. They've throttled the chip down a little bit, the performance, probably just to lower the thermals. It's quite a hot chip, so they've done that. Perhaps also again for battery life, maybe. Who knows? But it doesn't quite perform as quick as other Snapdragon 888 phones. GPS works really well, as you'd expect from a Qualcomm phone. Normally they are quite good. Average signal strength, very good. And you get stuck at that 3-meter accuracy cap, which we have with Qualcomm's chips. Internal storage speed. So I've got the 512 gigabyte UFS 3.1 version here, and really good speeds. I mean, look at those random reads and writes. They are excellent. And sequentials, very, very high there too as well. So that's good to see. Wireless speeds are great. Excellent speeds there. And no issues with downloads, wireless speeds. And remember, this model is the Snapdragon 888, but the 4G version. So I do have 4G plus with it most of the time here, but of course no 5G speeds with this phone because it's only the 4G version of the chip with the 4G modem. Audio quality now, so we don't have a 3.5mm headphone jack. You need to use a Type-C to 3.5 adapter, and it does sound just fine there. Now with this here, I'm in YouTube. You're probably thinking, how have I got the YouTube app? But no, this is the browser, okay? You can see that it's super smooth. So what I'll do now is go into a video, and I'll play back that video at 100% volume so we can hear the speakers. Not too bad from those speakers. Loudness is good. There's a little hint of bass there. So the sound's coming from the speaker down the bottom and then that one that's in the top of the earpiece. There are 2 little slits there, and that's where the sound comes out from the top earpiece. Gaming. So it is very immersive on the screen for games that are going to stretch right out and support that 21:9 aspect ratio and this resolution. Genshin Impact here does. It's a demanding title. You occasionally get a few little frame dips with it. You can see when you look around, I've got it on the high settings here at the moment, but it plays well. What I have noticed is because that this Snapdragon 888 seems to be throttling a little bit more, or they've clocked it down somewhat, Huawei, probably just to hold back on the heat from this chip. It's a very hot chip, the Snapdragon 888. It doesn't get anywhere near as hot as what I've seen on other devices, other flagships, last year's ones that run the Snapdragon 888. It's in fact just quite cool and gets a little bit warm on the back of the phone right here. But again, nothing like the kind of temperatures I have seen with other phones running the Snapdragon 888. Moving over to cameras now. So this is the inner camera, which can shoot 4K 30 and 4K 60 frames per second. Really good to see that Huawei are doing this, even with the inside camera, which is the weaker camera of all the cameras we've got here. So it does have electronic image stabilization, and it is steadying out this shot a little bit here, but it could be a bit better. You can see it moves around a little bit. It's certainly not the best I've seen. So what I'll do is swap over to the rear cameras now, and they can, of course, be used as selfie cameras or for vlog footage too, thanks to that small little screen on the back. So pan around, you might see a little bit of judder coming through. It seems to be an Android trait, unfortunately. So pulling back on the focus here, it then swaps over to our ultra wide camera. Still have that electronic image stabilization. So great to see that you can do this on the fly without having to stop and then swap the camera, then hit record again. So as I start to zoom in here, we go to 1 times, it swaps over to the camera. You do see, unfortunately, that transition. And the stability here is very good when we're walking ahead. I'm just going to jog a little. You see a few more jolts come through in jogging. And I'm going to zoom into the hotel here at the background. So that is now 2 times, 3 times, and right up to 5 times, which looks a bit terrible. That's actually 6 times now. So not so great there as expected for so much digital zoom. And then back to our 1 times there. So not bad quality here, but the audio could definitely be improved upon and a little more optimization, I feel, with this video performance. It does look a little bit juddery too, especially when you view it at 4K on a large TV. Now, what did you think of the photo samples there? I think typical Huawei that it does take an excellent photo and the low light performance isn't bad at all. Now, it's great that with that little 1-inch screen on the back, that round OLED screen, we can use it to then take selfies and video and even use the ultra wide, swap over the cameras, just be able to hold it up, take your photos like that is good because you can use the main cameras there. So the 32 megapixel main camera instead of the 10 megapixel one on the inside is definitely a more higher quality lens, of course, and camera sensor than using that smaller one there. Now, the build quality of this phone is excellent. This is definitely one of the big reasons you would probably go for a phone like this is the build, the foldable screen, stunning display on it. There's something about the foldable displays, and I think it's because they don't have the glass over the top of them. They don't reflect as much, and they just look more stunning than your regular displays, even though we've got a very similar display in OLED, but not a foldable one. Well, it's got the foldable edges with it, with a curved edge, flat screen here, and it just looks a lot better, the displays, when you get them side by side. I think the foldable OLED definitely looks a lot better to my eyes. Of course, it is more susceptible to damage, so of course closing it up stops it from getting any damage there, that if anything was to rub against it, when you've got it closed, you won't have any issues like keys or something if you accidentally put it in your pocket. But open, then you've got that risk of course something dropping onto it. But the trade-off is just how good these displays really look. Now, I love the fact that the fingerprint reader is a side one, okay, not in screen. It's very fast, it works really well. The 4,000 milliamp hour battery that's within this gives us a realistic about 6 hours, 6.5 of on-screen time, which for a foldable is pretty kind of standard. That's what I was getting out of my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2 and the Z Fold 3. So battery life on these, you take a little bit of a hit due to the design compromises with the battery placement there. It still charges in around an hour, which I don't think is too bad at all, but it is running Android 11, not Android 12. And it's running last gen tech here with the Snapdragon 888, and it's a 4G version, so you miss out on 5G, you get a last gen chip. And that's when it comes on to the pricing, which I think this is going to be a bit of a hard sell. Now the premium version I have with the designer back on it, the shell, with those contours and everything, this retails here for €15.99. So yes, 1,600 euros. That's quite an ask if you ask me, considering what I just mentioned. And of course, it won't be able to run things like banking apps and the lack of Google support here. Now the normal model with the 8 gigabytes of RAM and the 256 gigabytes of storage is still $12.99, which is pricey. So that's I think the big con of this one here is the price. But really stunning hardware. I like the hinge on it, and overall, I think Huawei, especially just like the Mate X2 that I've also covered and reviewed in my channel, I think they do, the hardware-wise, the folds and the creases, better than the likes of Samsung, at least what I've seen it in my experience. So thanks a lot for watching my review here of the Huawei Pocket, the P50 Pocket.